No damage to the roof could have come from this room. Going to the outside rooms, there's very little damage to those rooms as well. The fire in this house could not have started with the water heater. So Mike checked the electrical system to see if the fire could have been started by an electrical fire, or a lightning strike as the inspector originally claimed. If this had been an electrical or lightning fire, we would expect to see damage to the electrical boxes. Yet there is none. In fact, there is no damage to any of the interior walls as there would have been with an electrical fire. As you saw earlier, the antenna and wiring on the roof were intact too. In fact, the only fire damage, as you can see on these rafters, is from the outside on the roof down. Any place there is burning, it's from the top down. This was probably the most convincing part of Mike's video. These shots of the rafters show that all of the burning had to have originated from the roof. There is no damage coming from the inside. It is all from the roof down. If you look at these holes on the roof, these are holes made by the firemen with their axes. Yet over to the right, there are very clearly missile holes burned from the outside in. We've had military people identify these holes as the type made by sabot rounds fired from helicopters. The burning very plainly goes in. This was very plainly not an electrical fire, a lightning strike, or a fire from a water heater. This was a hit from black helicopters.
It's just incredible, and it is frightening. And I'll tell you, the only thing that has saved us here is that Carol and I have realized from the beginning that what we were starting was standing up against the federal government. And we've all heard nightmares about people in the past who've tried to stand up against the federal government and failed, and somehow the federal government ruins their life. And so we realized right away that, this is something that we had to feel good about.
The date indicator on Mike's video is wrong. That attack occurred in January of 1994 and was a powerful motivator to find out who these guys are. We found them at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. This is concertina wire surrounding the perimeter outside their headquarters, marked by a sign that has the Army Special Operations Group symbol on the left and the 101st Airborne Eagle on the right. This is their headquarters. It is the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, often called Task Force 160, or the Night Stalkers. Their chain of command goes up to the Army Special Operations Group commander. They have 600 various types of helicopters at Fort Campbell and keep 300 of them outside at a time. More of their helicopters are located throughout the country. This group is often referred to as Delta Force, but the truth is there is no one Delta Force. Task forces are formed from members of special forces such as the 10th Mountain Division or the 75th Rangers out of Fort Benning, Georgia, or from members of law enforcement, such as the ATF, DEA, FBI, IRS, CIA, or other government agencies and even private corporations. The members of the task forces often receive fake orders, so their own units do not know they are participating in a Task Force 160 mission. Task Force 160 members are special operations group leaders in these task forces, and the helicopters are flown by pilots from the 160th. The 160th practices urban combat or domestic support operations that consist of dropping members of these task forces into cities. As the parachutists are dropped into the city, the helicopters provide a diversion by firing down on civilian targets. The members of these task forces are given special training along with fake identification. They are dropped into a city where they get jobs, map the city, population centers, police and fire departments, then later they conduct a mock takeover of the city. These camouflaged C-5A cargo planes were at Fort Campbell. 3 stories tall, they can move large numbers of troops and equipment and are usually seen wherever the black helicopters are sent for an operation. In Waco, at the same building where FBI headquarters was located and where black helicopters were parked during the Waco siege, Chrysler Technologies paints these very same C-5As. Some are painted a camouflage color, some plain gray, some with a red, green, and gray color scheme similar to the Arizona National Guard, and some with the red and green FEMA colors. There's obviously a connection between private defense contractors, federal law enforcement, and military special operations.